have annual architectural evaluation of the whole facility. We're compiling an updated assessment, and so we can get started, once this phase 1 work is done, we can get started on our prioritizing spending and long-term issues. Okay. We're also addressing scholarship needs. You may have heard in connection with our tax village that one of the goals was to address scholarship needs. We need to address the nursing staffing and also physician staffing.
Yeah, we'll switch. I think we're gonna switch it right now.
It must be, turn that one off, maybe? You got that one switched off?
I'm not sure if it's going to reach or not.
It's that cord.
Yeah, this one seems to be doing fine if you want to switch that off.
It's off. And there's some interference somewhere.
Oh,
Much better.
okay, so if you take a look at the slide here, these are projections relative to physician shortages nationwide. And so as of now, we basically are, told that there's a 50 to 60,000 shortfall of physicians in the United States. By 2030, that's expected to climb to 60 to 90,000 projected shortfall of physicians, mostly rural, mostly primary care physicians, which is where we are here. So, with this information, we are exploring any and all options to recruit in conjunction with Oxner as quickly as possible. So that's one of the things we're working on now. We're also kicking off these scholarship programs. Okay, so we're talking scholarship partners. We're talking to Louisiana Community College, Jones Memorial, Fletcher, ULL, and LSU. We're making them aware of our situation and the need to, and our starting of these programs. We just heard from Fletcher. It's unbelievable. Most people, we were kind of blown away when they came to present to us at the board meeting what they can offer. They've got a huge list of allied health professions that they're providing to the community, and we want to make the public aware of that. We want to make especially the students aware of that. So we're working in connection with the area high schools in our district, Patterson, Berwick, and Warren City, and Central Catholic, and to make sure that everyone knows about these programs and that they also know that financial need should not be an impediment to pursuing nursing, medicine, or healthcare in the community. We want to do all that we can to have local folks. Next, please, Catherine. So here's an example. Sorry about the delay of what is offered just at Fletcher. And it's fair to say that most people are unaware of the offerings. I certainly was. And it's great to see that all of that is offered relatively nearby and at a relatively low cost and low time commitment. Next. So we're just starting this scholarship program. It's not yet been formalized, but we are drafting it. The Board of Commissioners is considering it. We're getting input relative to the design. We have some legal parameters that we have to follow. In connection. Okay. You want me to turn this off? Speak without it? We'll try that. So we have some leak. It's not this. It's something else. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? What? Testing. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mercado.
Okay, so we're just establishing the scholarship program. We are in the process of designing it. We have some statutory requirements that we have to follow, so we've got to stay in that framework. But basically, it would be full payment of tuition. We'd have loan forgiveness, and for, say, nurses that have to come here back and work in our community for 2 years, and there'd be complete loan forgiveness of that. We're also in discussions with Ochsner in connection with a medicine apprentice program that they've started. It involves hiring graduates pending medical or PA school admission, and we're going to push out more information about that to the community and to the schools. Our ultimate goal is to provide us with a facility that's commensurate with our needs and state of the art, and to see to it that we can provide as many services, many healthcare services as possible to the community in a commercially reasonable fashion. So we'll never have a neurosurgeon here in Morgan City. We just don't have the population. But we believe we ought to have, more. And so we're working on that to try to provide you with and us with as many services as possible. And we'll keep you posted. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bourgeois. We're now going to talk about neighborhood infrastructure. Neighborhoods and the upkeep of the places that we live are vitally important, not just for our friends, families, and neighbors who choose to live there, but for future generations of residents to have a reliable, safe place to live, work, and play. Tonight, we want to focus on the improvement and the importance of upgrades to the aging infrastructure, significant costs associated with those improvements, and the continued work of our local officials. So we'll start by talking about the town of Berwick. The town of Berwick secured $8.2 million in grant funds for the installation of improved water meters, development and implementation of street programs, rehabilitation of sewer infrastructure, and upgrades to natural gas lines. All of these projects are critical to ensuring a vibrant community. These projects come with large price tags, but they're essential to position our communities for future economic growth. These decisions are not made lightly. Our local officials have to constantly decide where to put taxpayer dollars that will result in the greatest outcome and greatest future potential. We want to thank our local leaders throughout St. Mary Parish for continuously and consistently choosing to invest in upgrading our neighborhoods. Last year, St. Mary was reminded of the vulnerability of our coastal area with Hurricane Francine. It also demonstrated how we, as a unified parish, need to ensure that coastal dollars are spent on the coast. Our next speaker will highlight a project that has been 7 years in the making. A new project that reflects collaboration in the highest form, comprising stakeholders from across various government agencies, individuals, and more, who came together to ensure that when it comes to storms and floods, there is no community more resilient than St. Mary Parish. Here to update us on this project is Michael Mercado of the St. Mary Levee District.
Thank you, Evan, and hello, everyone. So the first thing we come to is this resilience. We all attended a number of meetings where a lot of us sat around and said, okay, originally it was called the Resilience Lab. And whenever you put in the word lab, people think of lab coats and scientists and this, that, and other. And it took a number of meetings for us to realize that no one was going to tell us what we needed as a resilience lab. We had to tell them what we wanted, what we needed here in our area. So resilience is the ability to be able to overcome, to respond to, and to adapt to the hazards. We live in coastal Louisiana. The hazards are numerous. So we have a lot of things that we have to look at and we have to adapt to. Rising sea level, stronger storms, all these things. So this resilience, let me not get ahead of myself, but go ahead to the next one. So what we did was we pulled together a bunch of the local leaders and we had many, many meetings trying to decide what was needed in St. Mary Parish for the members of St. Mary Parish. So we came up with this resilience hub, okay? And it's going to be a location that people can come to get information. And the biggest thing where I can tie it into my professional career is for probably, I'm sure y'all have heard of the Bayou Shane project. For probably 2 years, I worked on some type of backup electrical system for some of our cameras and gauges and stuff on the Bayou Shane project. And I could not find the information or anyone to help me to get the information I needed to be able to produce this product. And it took 2 years. And finally, I ran across one person. And look, this is a day of the internet where you can find anything. I couldn't find what I needed. Took 2 years, and I finally got one person that was able to tell me, hey, talk to this guy. He's going to set you up. And we got there. So it goes into this resilience hub that this is a place where the people of the community can go to and get the information they need, whether it be for building hardened structures, their homes, to stormproof their homes, to stormproof their businesses. You know, how to be a resilient business, how to be able to make it through those storm periods where, hey, you may be down of power for a week. How does your business survive that week without that income? So this hub is going to be a place for us, for the people of this community, and for people outside of the community as well. So we got together a group of people. This was not decided in a bubble where it was 2 or 3 of us saying, hey, this is what we need. We brought together St. Mary Parish Government, St. Mary Levy District, City of Morgan City, Town of Berwick, City of Patterson, the Governor's Office, CPRA, Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, the Port of Morgan City, LUMCON, CTAC, the Army Corps of Engineers. We'll get into that in a second. Cajun Coast Visitor Centers, representatives from business and industries, and then university partners, LSU, Nichols, Tulane, the Water Institute, South Louisiana Community College, and all of these people had a seat at the table. And we developed the ideas for research and for projects. And you can see, we spent hours, literally hours, coming up with ideas. What do we need here? And I can, again, speak from a personal level as a homeowner. When I built my house 17 years ago, there were certain things I wanted to have the ability to do in my house, make it more efficient, make it storm hardened. Even 17 years ago, it was hard to find those things. I would end up with the wrong products, or I didn't have a local contractor that can do things. These are the types of things that we want to bring to the community so that, hey, I need a new roof. So what do I do? What's the best products to use? What can get me rebates on my insurance? That's what we're building this towards. You can go to the next one. And again, the work continues. We are meeting probably bi-weekly to discuss these things for this resilience lab. You'll see the next steps. You can go to the next one. Hopefully by the end of the summer, late August, we'll have an actual plan. Currently, that plan is a physical building on the river that has even test beds for different types of materials. Today, I was able to go to La House in Baton Rouge, and La House is a house built on LSU's campus. And in this house, they used all kinds of different building materials, whether it was 2x4 studs, 2x6 studs. They built slab on grade, they built elevated slab on grade, and they've been testing this stuff, I believe, since 2005, if I'm not mistaken. The different insulations, the different roofing materials, what's efficient windows, efficient lighting, things like that. So they've been testing. This stuff is out there. There's information out there, and sometimes it's hard for locals to find this information. And that's why the idea for this resilience hub is for us, so that if you come up with something you want to do, you can go to this hub, and this hub will help you to get the information that you need to be able to move forward with a project, whether it's a business or your home or just anything you need. That's what this hub is going to be for. So hopefully by late August, we'll have a definite plan. Again, the local discussions continue. All of those same people are in the room. You can go to the next one with the map. One of the things that has been very evident to me, and I think evident to a lot of people in this room, is I want you to look at this map. And everything you see in pink is the Mississippi River estuary. Everything that you see in pink flows into the Mississippi River. And how much of the Mississippi flows into the Atchafalaya? Currently, it's 30%. And all of the Red River. You can't really see it on this because it's far away. But if you don't think the Atchafalaya River in St. Mary Parish is important to this country, you need to think again. And the problem here is we have kind of been left out for a lot of things. You know, they have a resilience lab in Baton Rouge that's supposed to be for the coast. We're on the coast. We are the Atchafalaya River, and these kind of things need to start coming here instead of going down the road to other areas or other parishes. The schools, all the universities, guess where they're coming to do their studies? St. Mary Parish. You know, when I'm out and about in the field, I see LSU here, see Nichols, I see UL. But they're coming here, they're doing their studies, and then they're going back to Baton Rouge, Thibodeau, Lafayette. And even farther, recently I met people from up north that were scientists coming here to study our area. So this area is extremely important. This resilience lab is going to be something for our community, our people, to help us move forward, to be resilient, to be able to deal with the changing tides, we could call it. This is something huge that's coming our way. Currently, the Army Corps of Engineers is doing what's called the Lower Mississippi River Comprehensive Management Study. And what they're looking at is those flows on the Mississippi and the Atchafalaya. That's one of the main things they're looking at. I've been in numerous meetings over probably the past year and a half to 2 years discussing what's going to happen. And if we are not loud enough about the effects of changing that 70-30 to a 60-40, or even an 80-20, meaning 80% down the Mississippi and 20 here, all of those things have adverse effects for our area. And we have to pay close attention to it, or we're going to be affected and we didn't have a say-so. So keep your eyes on that as well. And last but not least, we are continuing the work. Again, we are the coast. We are the Atchafalaya Basin. We are the Atchafalaya River. We have to be aware of that. Dr. Roberts is going to talk about the ANER. I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is. And that's here. That's here. It's not anywhere else. And we got to make sure we hold close to that so that the facilities end up here. The people who come in and study come here, stay here, and work with us and for us, for that matter. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. As local leaders, we are building resilience into our community identity. As an example of how we are achieving this at a local level, Beth Price, Executive Director of the St. Mary Parish Chamber, will share a recent and critically important St. Mary Parish initiative that seeks to educate our residents and connect them with resources for community resilience.
Thank you, Evan. Y'all will have to deal with me reading off of a script because I am going to talk about fortified housing, and fortified housing is not necessarily my area of expertise, but the notes that I have here are from the meeting that we had on the 12th. It is a pleasure to be here alongside many dedicated community leaders. And like I said, I am here to share information with you regarding our recent meeting in collaboration with St. Mary Chamber of Commerce, the LSU Ag Center, La House, and St. Mary Excel on an important topic that directly impacts the safety, financial stability, and future of our homes and communities. Mike mentioned La House. It is on LSU's campus. It has over 200 exhibits showcasing the best practices when it comes to building homes to withstand the test of time. Ms. Claire Scott, part of the La House Extension team, joined us at Patterson Civic Center on March 12th to educate local stakeholders, contractors, roofers, real estate agents, insurance agents, and the public on the facts about fortified homes. One of the most significant aspects of resilience in our region, particularly along the coast, is the importance of a fortified roof. As we have all experienced, our weather can be unpredictable, and with the frequency of storms increasing, it is more important than ever to ensure that our homes are equipped to handle the worst. Fortified roofs are becoming a necessity and can be a game changer for homeowners in our area. Starting in 2024, any home within the 130 mile per hour wind contour zone is required by code, so it's now law, to use ring shank nails and seal the roof deck. Both are essential to a fortified roof, and actually the first level of being considered fortified. However, in order to receive this certification, the work must be done by a certified roofer and inspected by a certified evaluator. This is where the training and certification, of course, becomes crucial. The law surrounding fortified homes also has significant benefit for homeowners: insurance discounts. If your home has a fortified roof, your insurance company must offer you a discount, and by law, that discount has to be published. In Louisiana, we saw the list last week, there is a list of all insurance companies and the discount rates that they offer for a fortified home. In 2023, Louisiana's Fortified Homes program offered $10,000 grants through a lottery system to help homeowners upgrade to fortified roofs. This initiative is part of a broader effort to make our communities more resilient because, as we know, a resilient community is an insurable community. Another key point that was discussed was the HERS, or Home Energy Rating System, which can significantly affect your home's value, utility costs, and insurance rates. A high HERS score means lower energy costs, higher home value, and a potential $2,000 tax credit. The benefits add up, making the investment in resilience not just a matter of safety, but of long-term financial gain. To my knowledge, there are currently no contractors, roofers, or evaluators that are certified in St. Mary Parish. This is a gap that we need to fill, and we're urging local contractors and builders to consider getting certified. The process is relatively simple and affordable. The Fortified Wise Evaluator course costs $400 for the class and $200 to test, while the Fortified certification for roofers and contractors is just $100 for the class and $50 for the test, both of which can be completed online. We encourage business owners to invest in this certification because we want to see local companies leading the way in making our homes more resilient, and of course we want those dollars to stay local. I ask for you to be on the lookout for an update. We will be hosting another meeting regarding flood prevention with La House. They just hired someone to be in that category, so as soon as they get settled into their position, we'll be hosting another meeting. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing how we can work together and build a stronger and safer St. Mary Parish. I do know Miss Monica picked up some flyers today from La House. They're on the table in the back. Please grab some on your way out.
Thank you, Beth. So much of the information that we talked about tonight has centered on man-made physical structures. It would be irresponsible, though, if we did not recognize the natural assets our community has to offer. The unique habitat and ecosystem that everyone here is so fortunate to call home. I believe St. Mary Parish embodies what Louisiana is known for throughout the world, our sportsman's paradise. We cannot take for granted the economic benefits of our Atchafalaya ecosystem and habitat, and it is incumbent upon all of us to take action to ensure our natural resources are protected. When done right, great opportunities arise to create businesses. Recognizing that when done right, great opportunities arise to grow businesses. We have that here, specifically through ecotourism opportunities. Dr. Brian Roberts, the Executive Director of LUMCON, will update us on the Atchafalaya National Estuarine Research Reserve. Dr. Roberts.
Little height adjustment here. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening to talk about where we stand with the Atchafalaya National Estuarine Research Reserve. I had the opportunity to give an update on where things were last May, I think it was, at the Chamber. And I'm here to give you a little bit of an update on where we are right now. So hopefully most of you are familiar with what a National Estuarine Research Reserve is. But this is a network of areas around the country that are focused on different estuaries. That's where the National Estuary and Research Reserve is. They are federal-state partnerships with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration and the state. So their core funding comes through a federal allocation of funds and a state match. It's a 2-to-1 federal to state match for the core funding for these reserves. And there are 30 of them that exist right now. We are the last coastal state to get one. So to let you know sort of about that process and where we are in that. So back in 2019, the summer of 2019, then Governor Bell Edwards sent a letter of interest to the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration for the establishment of a NER in the state of Louisiana. That process got a little bit slowed down. Recognize the timing there in July. So we started that process of trying to figure out where we might have a reserve. And so we had a site selection process that was led by Louisiana Sea Grant that had a little bit of a slowdown with the thing called the pandemic starting in the spring of 2020. But by the fall of 2020, we narrowed it down to 3 areas that were potential sites that we thought were viable, met all of the requirements for a reserve. Through the spring of 21 through 22, we held a series of town hall meetings. I remember hosting a town hall meeting in this building in that spring of 21 that people kept pulling chairs out because we had the largest crowd in that one meeting out of any of the town halls. Actually, all the other town halls combined was actually right here in this building. And that had a lot to do with part of the process of this reserve getting selected because of that community support. There was a 3-phase proposal process with final proposals submitted in May of 22. In the summer of 22, the Atchafalaya was chosen to be the state selection. And the governor notified NOAA of that. CPRA was chosen to lead the submission of the full nomination package to NOAA and oversee the designation process. This is a very interactive process that takes quite a bit of time. You have to consult the communities to understand the interest. You have to define what the boundaries are for the reserve and do a series of environmental impact statements to evaluate what is a viable reserve. And you have to develop a management plan. In the summer of 23, Governor Bell Edwards' nomination of the Atchafalaya Basin was approved by NOAA. It was accepted as the site. And then the governor selected LUMCON to be the state agency to host and manage the NER. For those of you that aren't familiar with LUMCON, LUMCON stands for the Louisiana Universities Marine Consortium. That's why we say LUMCON, because nobody wants to say all of that. We are a consortium of all the universities in the state. So that includes the 20 4-year public state institutions of higher ed, the 12 technical and community colleges in the state, as well as the 10 independent colleges and universities that are in the state. So our consortium is all 42 institutions of higher ed. We are a physical presence with our main headquarters down in Cocodrie, and now we have another facility up in Houma. We are also the state host agency and partner for another federal state partnership, the Barataria-Terrebonne National Estuary Program, which is a partnership with the Environmental Protection Agency. And so since 2023, we've been working through, there's been a lot of different working groups that have been trying to design what some of the priorities are going to be for this reserve. And then the really long part has been working with NOAA and legal, trying to get clarification on what can be included in the core areas and the buffer areas of reserve. One thing you have to recognize is that while there is this network of 30 reserves around the country, none of them are on a major river the way that we are. You saw an earlier image of the different watersheds in the country, with that pink being the Mississippi Basin. The Mississippi River and Red River basins comprise 41% of the continental U.S., and it also includes 2 provinces of Canada. All of that drains down through here. The largest watershed in the country is the Atchafalaya, because it includes all of the Mississippi River, but it includes the Red River. The Red River does not flow out the Mississippi. It only flows through the Atchafalaya. So right here, we're in the largest watershed in the entire country. The Atchafalaya River at base flow is the 6th largest river in North America. At high flow in the spring, it's second to the Mississippi. The 2 largest outputs in the entire country, actually the whole continent, are here. So that's really important for us to think about. But this is a much larger river. So most of the other reserves are in small, pristine areas. They don't have major navigation channels. So we dredge, right? So we can get the ships up and down the river. Trying to figure out how we work that into core and buffer areas. We also have a working coast. We have oil and gas platforms, many of which are actually not being used now. What is the buffer we have to have around that platform to say that we can have that be part of the core area? So we've had a lot of back and forth going on over the course of the last year, and I can say we're getting close. You can't finalize your environmental impact statement or your management plan until you have your boundaries established. So we're working jointly with the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority to gather the information that's being asked of us from NOAA so we can get finalization on what our boundaries are going to be. So at that point, we then finalize the draft of the environmental impact statement and the management plan. Those now go to public comment. So there'll be an opportunity for everybody to give feedback on that and see where we are in that process, what kind of modifications we might want to consider that weren't originally thought of when we solicited information earlier on. We then go back to NOAA and you finalize those, so there's a back and forth process. Assuming that we can get this final piece of agreement on what the boundaries are completed within the next month or so, we are still hopeful that we might be able to get designation of the reserve by the end of the calendar year. So this seems like a really long time. We're in 2025. The governor sent the letter almost 6 years ago. We had an incredibly ambitious goal of trying to get this designated within 4 or 5 years. Out of those 30 reserves, almost all of them took at least 10 years from start to finish. We are way ahead of the curve. I know people get frustrated because we're not there yet. And I know some of those people in this room are particularly frustrated and anxious about the fact we're not at designation yet. We all feel that, but we also have pushed NOAA at a level that nobody else has really pushed them to get this through. We're close, and it is going to happen. I was just at a Southern Regional Partners meeting for NOAA a month or so ago, and one of the things that they pointed out that this is a huge priority to get this through to designation. So that's where we are right now. We're making progress. Believe me, it's very, very painful for me to have to keep basically saying that we're moving, inching forward. I think we basically have one big information hurdle left. Once we have that, we can then work towards finalizing these documents and get that public comment process moving forward, the back and forth with NOAA on finalizing the documentation and work towards designation. I can say that in the current budget that I have for LUMCON, I have the state match in my budget for next year. Of course, the budget's still not finalized, but in that budget that went forward, that the governor put in, that still is in there. So I have that, just waiting on the federal dollars. So even if there's a delay in the federal, we're able to start the process, hire the director, which is the first step. That way you can stop seeing me at these meetings and actually have the director of the NERC. I will say that we're very committed to this. I think it provides an incredible opportunity to highlight this region, but also to expand this. One thing that's really unique about Louisiana is that we have several national estuaries. You have the Barataria and Terrebonne National Estuary Program, that is that EPA partnership. There's also a national estuary in Lake Pontchartrain that is through another program at EPA. Then when we get this reserve, we basically have the entire region from over in Vermilion Bay all the way through Pontchartrain. They're all national estuaries. And being able to work together, that provides an opportunity to leverage those expertise and the things that are going on there to bring in external dollars for that research community that was talked about, as well as, there's a lot of education component, stewardship opportunities that can be leveraged by partnering with these other institutions and other reserves and estuaries. And that's one of the things that at LumCon, that's part of what our job is to try to help facilitate these collaborations. So we're really excited about this. I know it's frustrating that we're not there yet, but we're getting close, and we're going to keep pushing to get there. So thank you, and I'll take questions when we're at that point.
Thank you, Dr. Roberts. So it goes without saying that in Louisiana, we know how to have a good time. Not everything's about work. What matters most is the quality of life. Quality of life is what keeps us moving. It's what gives us our sense of joy. It's what makes the hard times easier and the great times much more fulfilling. The social and economic benefits of the Atchafalaya gives us happy and healthy individuals and families, while providing a dual benefit of supporting local businesses and enjoying the incredible outdoor environment we have at our doorstep. Up next, St. Mary Excel's Deborah Torline will explain how the nonprofit has worked to support quality of life initiatives here through collaboration with community leaders.
Thank you, Evan, and thank you for being here tonight. Okay. One infrastructure recommendation that was made 7 years ago was to complete the Bike Morgan City trails. We started the process in 2018 using recreational trails grants and others. The process has been slow. This year, the City of Morgan City secured a $16.7 million grant to complete the trail so that you can have access to the South Louisiana Community College Young Memorial Campus without having to have a car or without having to walk on the road. The trail would connect Morgan City's 17 miles of trails with Berwick's 7 miles of trails to the west. So we can have access to businesses, education, and medical facilities within our area. Health quality of life infrastructure is important for people as they make choices of where to live and raise their families, and as a measure to stop the out-migration of our young adults. Next slide. Not yet. Okay, here we go. All right. And we are fortunate. We're fortunate to have a hiking, biking bridge to connect the legislatively designated gateway to the Atchafalaya. Did you know that St. Mary Parish is designated by law as the gateway to the Atchafalaya? Yeah, St. Mary Parish is legislatively designated as the gateway to the Atchafalaya. Shouldn't we be treating the bridge across the Atchafalaya as such? Okay. Our Highway 182 bridge has key features. It provides a backup to the US 90 bridge, and it provides greater access for hurricane evacuations. The Highway 182 bridge as a backup to the US 90 bridge is always a priority, and it will always take precedence to any and all hiking and biking. Let me repeat, the Highway 182 bridge as a backup to the US 90 bridge is always a priority and will always take precedence to any and all hiking and biking. However, we have a vision for our community, and I'll let Berwick Councilwoman Colleen Askew and Morgan City Main Street Director Vanessa Spinella to share that vision.
Where else can you stand, walk, hike, or bike across North America's largest river swamp, the Atchafalaya River? The community vision was to make that walking, hiking, and biking across the Atchafalaya here. Before we reopened the bridges, with the mayors of both Morgan City and Berwick approving, we, as downtown leaders, have coordinated with our mayors and identified opportunities to connect Morgan City and Berwick and the 22 miles of trails to increase economic development in our area. People will come here to travel 22 miles of trails and have the unique experience of crossing the Atchafalaya River. Thank you.
Hello. Here's what the mayor's agreed to do. Number one is monthly bridge closures, the third Saturday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Number two is pedestrian and bicycle access with unique and stunning river views. Number three is a grand reopening celebration featuring a dinner on top of the bridge. Number four is community coordination for Berwick Town Market and cross the river access to shopping, dining, and events. We also have community wellness benefits, which promote wellness through active lifestyles, through walking and biking, unique gathering space for community events, stronger bonds between neighboring communities, and launch events will be the grand opening celebration, which will be a memorable ribbon cutting ceremony, community dinner atop the bridge, and potentially coinciding with official and air designation ceremony. Thank you.
As you can see, this is a unified effort and a collaboration transforms infrastructure into opportunity. St. Mary Excel, Morgan City Town Council, Berwick Town Council, Morgan City Main Street, and the Chamber of Commerce came together to work on this plan. From the Chamber's perspective, and from increasing the traffic to the Cajun Coast for ecotourism, we are better able to market our area when we coordinate our events, which leads us to economic growth benefits of being able to have that closure of the bridge. By boosting the local economy, we have more funding opportunities for infrastructure improvements, enhanced art, cultural, and tourism programs, strengthened local business development, and it creates a distinctive sense of place and energizes citizen engagement.
Before we get to our last update, I just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you for coming to tonight's event. Your engagement is essential to creating a St. Mary Parish that we want and that we deserve. Now for our last update, we'll share a workforce development initiative that is taking shape, one that not only will provide a workforce pipeline tailored to our area, but will result in a substantial economic impact. I'll turn it over again to Debbie Torline with St. Mary Excel to explain this unique initiative.
As an economic development tool, St. Mary Parish is exploring how another Louisiana town used education to support existing education offerings. St. Mary Excel is exploring a residential coastal high school that does not compete with our local schools. The school does not compete because students would be taken from or will come from across the state, and the school would include grades 10 through 12. A similar school exists in Natchitoches, Louisiana. This is an economic development tool for our area, and the school is an economic development project. It addresses a coastal workforce skill gap. The school engages students from across the state and would recognize or maximize the resources already explained in the information shared on the ANER. The school would provide an innovative learning environment and create coastal partnerships. Then, we hope that some of the students remain in the area after they graduate from high school or return to their area after college. Thus, we grow our area and we take care of increasing our coastal workforce. This initiative is still early stages, so we will continue to provide updates as they become available. Evan?
Thank you, Debbie. When St. Mary XL reached out to me with this idea in the early stages, they kind of provided me with a framework of just what they were looking at for the project. So my office conducted an economic impact analysis to determine what would the actual economic impact be of the school being here. And based on the information, over 10 years, this economic impact would result in $100 million over the course of the 10 years that would create 92 permanent full-time jobs. And that's just based on the physical structure. That's not even counting the induced jobs and everything else that would come from that. So when we asked how do we build a strong and solid economic foundation along the Atchafalaya River, we answer: improvements in the infrastructure of our healthcare, neighborhoods, storm and water, economic and workforce development, resilience at the local level, ecosystem and ecotourism, and quality of life. Your active participation transforms our community from a mere location into a living, breathing celebration of connection, culture, and shared dreams. Before we end tonight, we wanted to allow time for you in the audience to ask us, our panelists, questions. St. Mary XL's Executive Director, Monica Mancuso, will assist in facilitating this discussion.
Wow, good evening. Quite a bit of information, and I really want to thank the presenters because you were very insightful. You brought a lot of information and knowledge to the table, and you really updated us on what's going on. However, it's not really about us tonight, it's about you. And hopefully, as you heard the information, you might have wanted to make a comment, or you might have wanted a clarification, or you might have just wanted to ask a question. So we thought at this time we'd open up the floor to comments or questions. I know Brady is kind enough tonight to be live streaming this, so we may be getting some online. Greg Garisco is here tonight. He's monitoring the live stream. So we're going to open up the floor to comments or questions.
Ms. Monica, who's responsible for crosswalks across the Highway 90?
Who's responsible for crosswalks across Highway 90? Is that correct? Like when the bridge closes and the bridge?
No, 7th Street, 6th Street, Marguerite, Roderick Street, through your bike trail, there are no official crosswalks.
That's going to change it, $16.7 million.
Okay.
Thank you, very good question. Thank you, John. Comments, questions, I'll come up to you. Would you like that?
Monica, earlier you talked about infrastructure, or a project that is involved.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're asking that you use the mic.
Regarding the infrastructure in natural gas, particularly in residential areas, I know in Morgan City they put a moratorium on the natural gas used for home generators. I think that's very important to a lot of folks around here, and I think Boro's trying to address that as well. Do you know if Morgan City's has anticipated any upgrades to their gas system?
I don't know of any, but I will promise you that Mr. Solar is here. He's raising his hand. Come on up, Mr. Solar. Do you want to answer that question? Otherwise, we can take it. I'm going to give you the microphone if you're going to answer it. Come up and get the microphone. Mr. Solar with the city of Morgan City. Thanks, Mr. Solar, for being here.
So yes, we are working on it. We did get a grant last year of $6.9 million. We're in the planning phase of it right now. We've been working with the engineers for the last few months on it. We're just getting We are rolling on it. You've been seeing a lot of surveying going on out through that, being a part of that. But I hate to say it, it's still a few years out before we can really lift the moratorium on the system, because the way our system is all integrated, all of it has to be fixed before we can supply the yeah, you'll start seeing some more work done probably over the next 2 months, but we'll probably go for bids in the next 2 months. So.
That's good. Good question. Yes, Mayor.
Well, a comment on Damon's question about gas and early. And we had a problem. We had about 12 houses that had generators that when the storm would hit and electricity would go off, everybody's generator worked for about 12. If you were one of those 12, I apologize to you. I got some really irate phone calls from people, and I understand that. Very expensive generators and can't get the gas to them. So we got a little creative. We become a gas customer of Berwick, of Patterson rather, and we connected to their gas line, which they have ample gas there. We're at the end of our line, and they're at the beginning, so we can tag off of their gas now, and we haven't had any problems. Now we do have a gas grant to increase the size of our gas lines, which will, get rid of all the questions about, whether we have enough gas for the future. But right now, we have addressed the moratorium and removed it. And we feel like we've gotten past that part, and we've already allowed 3 generators to come online since then.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question on the plan for y'all saying that there's going to be jobs created in the areas, and trying to get students to stay here after school and everything, and then trying to get more physicians in the area. What's the plan for having somewhere for these people to live, such as apartments, rent houses, things like that? I don't really think there's many of those around here.
What a great comment, what a great question. And I don't think we actually covered it. So that in and of itself could be a whole different topic. But please note that we hear your comment, and the leaders, I'm sure, if we collaborate well enough, there's no reason we can't come up with something. But thank you, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
We have an answer.
Other comments, questions? Evan?
She's got the mic. She's got it.
This is the official one, so.
Now, that's actually a really great question, a really great point. One of the things that I feel like St. Mary Parish as a whole lacks is just workforce housing in general. Specifically, apartment complexes, something like that. The younger workforce isn't looking for the size homes we have in St. Mary. So what you're going to end up seeing is a lot of larger size multifamily homes that are eventually going to probably fall into disrepair. The issue is we need to have a forward-looking vision on the type of residents we want to attract, and that's the type of infrastructure we want to look at. So a lot of the green infrastructure that you're seeing these investments being made in is to attract those younger professionals. But we're not going to be able to do that unless we have the accommodating housing that they're looking for, whether that be apartment complexes or even just smaller sized homes. One of the things that I'm optimistic about is as we start to see these improvements being made and start the attention getting made to it, the goal is to attract those types of developers here, identify the locations in our communities that are easily accessed through transportation networks, but also where it's not such a hard burden when it comes to insurance costs. Ideally, we're going to look at planned communities, and that's what I'm optimistic about, both Morgan City and throughout the parish. I know Mayor Dragnet has been very passionate about looking for addressing those types of problems. But I'm glad that you brought that up because it really is a parish-wide issue.
And let me just add that when the levee district completed the levee around the city and went around the Hellenic property, We've now included that Hellenic property in the protection, and we had heard at some point that Hellenic was interested in developing that for worker housing. So that's something that we can maybe revisit and look into and find out what Hellenic's plans are in that regard. But we now have a big area that can be developed, a protected area, right?
Thank you. Other comments, questions?
My question is, I have nothing to do with this, I'm just curious more about the roofers and the certification. If we have no one in St. Mary Parish, how do the roofers find out they need certification or can be certified? Is there some place they can go to? Is there?
I'm happy to help out. So I actually have a fortified roof. I've been through the process. I would encourage all of you, if you're interested, to go to the Louisiana Department of Insurance website or just Google Fortified Roof Louisiana, it'll pop up. They have a whole section that talks about it. It talks about the roofers and the process to get their certification, the inspectors and that sort of thing. I was concerned because when I first pursued it, there are no evaluators, no inspectors, no roofers, in the area. There were none close by. The closest were New Orleans and Baton Rouge. Over time, we've gotten more and more roofers and more evaluators who have signed up and got certified. So the process is getting easier and easier. I spoke with some local roofers to try to get them to pursue it, and they declined. They kind of didn't see the benefit at the time. They're busy. We had a storm, we had Ida, we had other stuff, and they just really didn't see a need to. I think at some point it's probably going to become code, and I think it makes sense. It's prudent to get, for those of us here, especially in St. Mary Parish, to have a fortified roof. And for me, it involved getting an evaluator at the time out of Mobile, because it was really big in Alabama first, and then came into Louisiana. And they came out and inspected the house. I think it was a $500 fee, and they basically don't want to give a green light to a house that has a whole bunch of issues and is falling down. They want to be sure it's a reasonably constructed house that could be certified eventually. And then the certified roofer that I got had to come from Gonzales. So, there were really none in St. Mary Parish, like Beth said, and hopefully at some point there will be, but they're eager to travel, all these various roofers. I think they probably charge a premium for doing the certified job, and the Commissioner of Insurance, if you're lucky enough to get a grant, it will assist. The grants are up to $10,000, and what they pay is the difference between putting a regular roof on and putting a fortified roof on. And so, for me, I think, we're having increasing hail and other things like that. I got a roof with a certificate after it was done that says it's certified for hurricanes and hail. And by having SBS modified impact resistant shingles put on. And you pay a little more, but the hope is it's going to last a lot longer. And the big thing is that I think it probably pays for itself, because we get this mandated insurance discount, and insurance, as you know, is skyrocketing. And so having every break that is possible is a good thing. And it's up to about 20% or so, roughly. So that's a significant discount on the insurance. And anyway, they strip it down to bare wood. When they come out, the roofer strips out the bare wood. They put down the different methods they can use, but they use either multiple layers of synthetic felt or ice and rain, ice and water membranes that they put down. It's like a roof in and of itself. Then this synthetic felt, and then they put 6 nails with the D-ring nails, 6 nails per shingle. And then they take pictures of all this, and when and then the inspectors kind of verify that it was put on right, and then they send it off to this institute, and you get this certificate, and it's good for 5 years. You have to get it reevaluated every 5 years to be sure you didn't do anything to the roof, and that sort of thing. And the thinking is that in this hurricane, we may lose a shingle or two, but there won't be catastrophic roof failure. We won't lose decking. The decking won't blow off and have, catastrophic damage. So.
A question that was asked at our meeting, and the purpose of the meeting, I want to say, was to try to get that education aspect out there, that we want them and encourage them to receive this certification. So we did have some feedback that our title for the event might have been misleading, so we may end up posting another one and try to encourage the roofers and the contractors to attend. We did have, I believe, 3 in attendance, so hopefully they move forward with the process. A question that was asked was what was the cost difference between a regular roof and a fortified roof, and there are different levels of fortified roofing. Now that the code has changed, the law has changed to where you have to use ring shank nails and seal the seams, that's a level 1. So that's code. You just have to have that certified roofer in order to get the certification. And like he said, the certification lasts for 5 years. And if you sell your home, the certification moves with the home. So it stays with that. And of course, it helps in your appraisal rates. It'll be how your value will be higher if you have that fortified roof. But the purpose behind hosting the meeting was for that education purpose. And like I said, if we need to host another one, we will do that. Does that answer your question? Yeah, it does. Thank you.
So another thing that I wanted to kind of add was earlier in the evening, Mike mentioned the purpose of the Resilience Hub. And what would the purpose of that Resilience Hub be? Providing those resources and connecting residents or businesses to these types of resources. And one thing, hearing just the dialogue going back and forth, this is exactly part of what that Resilience Hub would do, is providing those resources not just to residents, but ideally, hopefully setting it up to where contractors and roofers can get that education, can get that training, to where not only are we providing the education component locally, but we're able to provide them with the work locally as well. And then even that going outside of the parish to bring home those local dollars. But I hope that answers your question as well.
And I think you were at the training, so I'm going to go here, then I'll come back over to you.
I have a question for like these younger people that I know. They say that there's nothing fun around here to do, like a movie theater, like a bookstore. What can we do to change that? Like, what can we do to change that?
Bring more young people out and have them bring their ideas and we can talk.
All right, I've got a couple of people that want to respond, and we're going to try to stick to our, we love the comments, that's your target. It's a good question.
So we love new businesses, but in the meantime, we have created several local events that everybody's welcome to. In fact, one of them kicks off in April on Wednesdays. All you have to do is show up. You bring your friends, you sit at a table, you have drinks or food, and we watch the sunsets. We have live music series. There's plenty of open spaces, and those are free events. So tell your friends, and y'all come and just enjoy where you live.
I think that since you're so young and your ideas are fresh, that my answer to that would be you have to find investors that want to invest in the community. I mean, that's kind of like the bottom line. If everybody says that we need something, but no one steps up to take that chance, then it's not going to happen. So you're going to have one person bite on whatever your idea would be, an investor. That's my only advice.
And something that, of course, goes without saying is you have to support what already exists. The local businesses that do exist here, we have a couple really cute coffee shops that offer Wi-Fi. You can go there and do schoolwork and study with your friends, get a nice drink. We have beautiful outdoor spaces that can be utilized. And of course, like I said, the businesses, you have to shop local, eat local, fuel local, stay local, enjoy local, for people to see what we have here. And one thing that I always pushed when I was with the city, and even now, no one from the outside is going to come in and save us. It is up to us, the people who live here, to make the changes and make the difference. So, as a young individual, I encourage you to get involved.
We're going to take about maybe 2-3 more minutes because we don't want to keep you, but I told Mayor I'd come back to him and then I'll come back to you.
In regards to the fortified roof, there are some roofers in Palma that can put a fortified roof on and they can inspect it. There's inspectors over there. Our inspector at Berwick is soon to be certified to inspect fortified roofs. So we're working on that right now.
That's some good news. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about neighborhood. I live in Elliott subdivision, and at the Central Catholic School, the traffic just seems to be so unreal. Now I live right next to the Guminal resident, and I'm not sure, who can take care of this. But some of the people, the high school kids especially, when they get out, they drive real fast in front of my street. I live on Cedar Street. And then, I noticed a lot of things because, I'm retired, so. But anyway, one day, I was going, from Cedar, turning right, and they had 2 cars in the lane. I couldn't pass. It was like, okay, where do I go? And she's blowing the horn. I'm like, I don't know what you want. What are you doing in the middle of the road? There's only 2 lanes. So anyway, but I believe that, especially when it rains and stuff, all this dropping off these children and these people just rushing, to get in the line for the school. But I do believe that there's a policeman maybe that stays at the campus. But I'm thinking that maybe, if there's someone around there can watch some of these movements.
Excellent. So we've heard some good comments, and I think there's probably a solution there. And I think your point is heard. So very good. Thank you for making that comment. We would love to stay and take more comments and questions into the night, but we want to honor your time, and we also want to honor you having maybe some private conversations with the panelists because they're going to be around for a little while, and I think those conversations are sometimes some of the best. I do want to recognize that our state senator has sent Laura Meadows out here, and I did hear that we did have some state funds dedicated. So we really appreciate that. We want to recognize that you're here. We appreciate everything that state does for us. So thank you, Laura, for being here. Catherine, any closing comments?
Don't forget the cards in the back. We do have the cards in the back if you want to make some comments or some suggestions and comment on any of the things that you heard here. And we really do appreciate you coming. And the point of doing this was to give you information, to let people know what's happening, to be transparent so that you do know and that you can get involved. Young people can get involved. And, we just need you to just figure out the ways to do it. And we really do appreciate y'all coming. So.
Not to be the dead horse and keep you guys here any longer than you've been, I just want to thank again everyone for coming out tonight. This is only possible, any of the things that we talked about tonight are only possible through your involvement and engagement. To stay involved and informed, I'd recommend you following St. Mary XL and all of the organizations represented here tonight, their social media platforms and YouTube channels to really learn about the progress that's being made on these projects and initiatives and just to get more involved with this. But other than that, I wish everyone have a safe trip home, and thank you again for coming.